you connecting to your audio? Oh shit,
hello.
there
How's it
you
going?
are.
How you doing?
Yeah, I can't hear you, but I can see
Can you hear
your
me now?
face.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Why can you not hear me? It says that I'm talking. Make sure it's on your right thing.
I see your mouth mouthing. There's no sound. I'm putting lip gloss on. I know that's very exciting. And you really needed that information. And also, my glasses are crooked. Okay, let me see. It says it's working on my end. Can you double check yours? Well, let me unplug my microphone. Big difference.
How about now? Can you hear me better?
Oh yeah, now I can. That's weird.
Cool.
Why would
So
yeah.
click on the little arrow in audio and then change your speaker from the microphone to like whatever you want it on.
Let me see what this is. Hold on. Fuck. Can you say something? Let me see.
Yeah. Is that any better?
No. Fuck. I'm trying to connect it. Let's see. Okay. Maybe this will work. Can you say something?
Yeah. How about now?
Fuck.
Any better?
So my microphone is connected and I've done this a million times and I should still be able to hear you. And it's my speakers,
I just
whatever.
texted you.
Maybe I just need to not use my microphone, but I don't
Can you hear me
understand why
now?
that's happening. So select a microphone. I've selected the correct microphone. And I've selected the correct speaker. Are you telling me how to do this? Yeah. Select a microphone. All right. So then I have my microphone and I guess MacBook speaker. Is that the problem?
Yeah.
That's it.
Now is it
You
better?
gotta be so smart, Joe.
There you go. What I do, because sometimes the speaker on the laptop will fuck up the microphone as I use my AirPods. But if you're good, you're good.
Yeah, no, this should do it. Usually, I mean, this
Okay, cool.
microphone's pretty solid, but thank you.
You got it.
Okay. Let me explain how I do this before we like actually start.
Yeah, let's go.
Right. So my podcast is, called The Truth About Addiction. Right. And while it began as something that was a little more traditional, people who are in recovery, who've recovered from their addiction, and we talk about their path into recovery and kind of living sober and what that's like. I'm in the spirit of what I really want to do with addiction, which is dispel a whole bunch of myths and also just make it so that it's not so dire and shine a light on all the different ways in which many of us are stuck in emotional cycles of dysfunction and how we throw different tools at that. And that could be physical tools, mental tools, right? So it falls into, I think, a lot of what you're doing with your coaching.
Yeah.
So I don't know necessarily what you have in your personal story to share about that and whether that has prompted the work that you do, because we can talk about it in that way. Or if you're like, no, I had a really kind of solid childhood, but I was inspired to do the work in the world that I'm doing for all these reasons. And then these are the things that I see with my clients that kind of fall under that same umbrella, where it's not this traditional substance abuse disorder, and so really I want to start expanding the notion of what it is to be stuck in a sort of
Mhm.
addictive cycle that is self-sabotaging, and make people feel less shame about it, make people aware of all the different ways in which they can navigate it and have more joy in their life. So
Yeah.
that's really the goal at this point of the podcast. So before we kind of jump in, just so I know how to steer it, what resonates for you knowing that that's the path?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I haven't ever shared like a lot of my story in terms of like things that have kind of fucked me up. And to be honest with you, I don't think I'm ready to.
That's okay.
Um, but I certainly do have things that have fucked me up. So what I usually share on my story of why I got into coaching and coaching 50-year-old women is I only had a strong female role model, which was my mom growing up. She saw me going down a bad path. And so she brought me to the gym. I love the gym because she brought me there and it changed my life. I want to give back to women that are 50 because I know it can change an entire household. I
Mm,
then started fitness challenges and thought I wanted to work with people like me. But with only growing up with my mom, I resonated really well with women 40 plus. So then I also coached them because it was natural. And then I also worked in surgery, in OBGYN surgery, and learned a ton about the female body and how it works. And so I want to give back to women. I resonate well with them or communicate well with them. And then three, I understand their body really well and what it needs. And so that came together and formed what it is I do now.
mhm. Okay. Yeah, I think we should start there, and then
Mhm.
I'll just be asking questions that are thought provoking that stay
Yeah.
kind of within this larger umbrella of when we hit a wall with a client based on what they're emotionally navigating, what that ends up looking like
Yep.
and what in your experience is required for real change to take place. Right. So, um, yeah, I think that's plenty.
Okay, that works. And we
And
can just
all,
roll with it anywhere it
yeah.
goes. That's fine.
Okay. And you pronounce your last name Hoy?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Um, what is your like what's the demographic of your audience? Who are they? Age and gender?
Um, uh, it's between it's a little younger all the way through mid 40s, 50s,
Okay,
20ish to 55 probably, and a lot of people who are um dealing with substance abuse or
sure.
right come from dysfunction or struggling or stuck. So it's a good demographic, I think, for you.
I can probably speak on dysfunction as far as like whenever somebody leaves something that is like addictive to them or hard for them to leave, it's not like they just leave addiction or dysfunction entirely. They just go and find a new route. And so, like, if we can change
Mm.
that route to like fitness or nutrition or mindset, whatever, like that could be helpful. Um,
That's a great thing for us to touch on. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Cool.
And then, like, that's your jam. So you can obviously speak on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it. And then I'd love to push people to like either my Facebook group or my
Cool.
summit, which is coming up that you're speaking at.
Yes.
So that would be supernatural.
Yes, we'll do
And that's
that.
it.
Okay.
Cool.
Um, amazing. All right. So I'm going to count myself in.
Okay. Oh, one quick question.
Yes.
Can you give me the ability to record here so then I can have my content editor chop it up for us?
Sure. How do I do that?
I just sent you a request. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely. I know we're going to get some juicy clips.
I love it. Hey, so Davelin, we are recording this podcast, and then the way that this is on my screen with Samantha on top, me on bottom, if we can just do that and chop it up as reels, that would be amazing. Okay, do your thing.
Okay, cool. And also one more thing, uh, the way I do this too is I'll make a separate video where I do a formal introduction and I read your bio.
Mhm.
After which I'll have a little musical interlude and then it rolls into the beginning of this part of the conversation. However, what is like right now as I'm introducing you, are you a fitness and mindset coach for women 40 plus? Like, I want to make sure I say just the right thing after I talk about where we met.
Yeah, I have no idea what I am because like we help women with fucking everything. So like I guess you could just say I'm a health and weight loss and mindset coach for women 40 plus, but like God, we transform lives in every area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right, let me count myself in. Okay.
Cool.
1, 2, 3. Welcome back, everybody, to The Truth About Addiction. As is the latest trend here on this podcast, I have a man on the other end of this screen who does not have a substance abuse disorder. We are broadening the landscape about how we think about health, wellness, anxiety, depression, addiction, and emotional cycles of dysfunction. Joe Hoye is a young man with a really successful business that I met recently at a Build Your Brand live event in Atlanta. And as soon as we started talking, we knew we needed to be friends and stay in touch and help each other in the health and wellness landscape. He is a health, weight loss, and mindset coach for women 40 plus. But as you will learn in this conversation, he is so much more than that. And I want to give him the mic so he can properly introduce himself. And we're just going to get right into a really juicy conversation. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Thank you. I like that introduction. And you put me on the spot because you want me to introduce myself. And just before you hit the record or the live button or whatever it is you do on your end, you said, Joe, like, what are you? What do you help people with? And I couldn't answer that. I was like, you know what? I don't know what the hell I am because I started as a weight loss coach for women 40 plus, but we've transformed into so much more than that. And I mean, I don't know what we are. Like, I guess I would say I'm a health coach, I'm a life coach, I'm a lifestyle coach, but
Mm,
I guess I'll let the listeners decide as we dive deeper into this conversation.
mm. You know what I love so much about that? What I'm hearing you say, so correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you take on the role of trainer, fitness coach, weight loss coach, just the same as the role I took on as doctor of physical therapy in my clinic, that's actually not where it's at, because where it's actually at is where the person's soul is. Because wherever that place is the very place that you will have to touch and transform if any real long lasting physical change is going to take place, right? So it is not fair to just call us trainers
Hmm.
and weight loss coaches. And it touches on this idea of soul sickness, emotional cycles of dysfunction, because those are the very things that if we cannot change, our work is for nothing. And so it's a perfect segue to say, not one thing, but many, not one
Hmm.
thing, but all, right? I love that so much. Can you share with the listeners whatever you're willing to disclose about what inspired you to do this work?
Yeah, for sure. Before I do that, I just want to completely agree with you on the fact that as a doctor of physical therapy or a weight loss coach or whatever label somebody has, if you want to create any sort of lasting change, it's not coming from, okay, Jenny, you're going to go home and you're going to do this stretch with the band every night and you're going to be fixed. Or in my case, okay, I need you to quit drinking the soda and move to this water. Like, that's not it. Like you said, it's where your soul is at and where your mind
Mm,
is at. And you have to meet people where they are and figure out the bigger picture of why. Why do they want to change? And then connect that why to how they're going to get the result. And then you can actually create the result. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Why did
mm,
I start doing this? Why did at that time, 23-year-old, 24-year-old start coaching women that are 40 plus? It's kind of a three-part story, and it starts when I was 13 years old. I was going down a bad path that would have absolutely taken me in a different direction than where I'm at today. Um, I had only one strong, consistent role model in my life, and that was my mom. And she saw that I was going down that bad path. And one night, I think that this was her intention, really. She's like, Joe, did you get your homework done? It's like, yeah, it's done, mom. It's done really terribly, by the way, but it was done. And she's like, awesome. I'm going to the gym. I know you don't have plans tonight. You want to come with me? It's like, yeah, I'd like to go to the gym. At that time, I was as tall as I am now, so 5'11". I was insanely skinny. I was getting picked on for it. I was slow. I looked goofy. I was awkward, unathletic, not a smart kid. Um, but I wanted the inverse of all that. I wanted to be muscular and confident and smart and fast and athletic. And I was like, well, the gym seems like the right place to do that. I'm
mm,
going to go there. And as soon as she opened the doors to the gym for me, I fell in love with it. I saw all the people that looked like I wanted to look like in the gym
mm,
lifting weights. And it's like, obviously, if I want to be this person, I need to do that thing. So I fell in love with the gym. From
mm,
13 to 18, I consistently worked out and I didn't change my body at all. I was still super skinny, still getting picked on, still unathletic, but she did change the trajectory of my life to be more positive because I had this positive outlet. So thanks, mom. And that's
mm,
also kind of why I got into coaching this demographic, number one, because I saw that the one thing my mom did was bring me to the gym, and that drastically changed everything. And it's because she liked the gym. And so I understood that if I could change a mom's life, I could change a household's life. And so that's why I got into that. And so then I finally graduate high school. I get into college where I'm pursuing a career in surgery. And when I'm in college, I start partying. So I start drinking and eating like crap and treating my body like crap. And I did
mm,
gain all the weight that I wanted. I went from about 100 and probably 140 pounds up to the 190 pounds I wanted, but I didn't stop there. I blew past it and I went to about 220 pounds. And then I had a new problem. I was still getting picked on. I was still
mm,
goofy looking, except now I wasn't skinny. I was fat. I was not confident still. I still wasn't that smart. All the same shit. And at the time, like I said, I was pursuing a career in surgery. So I had to learn about nutrition, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, all the things our body needs to create change. And so I started applying that to myself. I created the change I finally wanted to see. So I went from 220 down to 190. And that's basically where I'm at today. I'm like 193. And so then I was more athletic, way more confident, had way more energy. My body looked better. And that was it. Like everything came together. And people started asking me because I grew up in a small town, like, Joe, you went from being skinny and awkward to being fat and awkward. And now you're in good shape and you seem like a confident dude that's got it all put together. Like, can you help me do this?
mm,
And enough people asked to where I couldn't do it for free. I had to start charging people for it. And transparently, I thought I wanted to help people like me, help young men just be confident in themselves and look the way they want to look. So I started running these online challenges, 6 weeks long. And like I said, I wanted to help people like me. I open up my laptop on the first day and I look at everyone that signed up for that challenge, and all the faces looking back at me look nothing like me. They looked like my mom. There was not a single guy in there. It was all women 40 plus. And I was like, what happened? Like, I thought I was advertising to past Joe. And I came to the conclusion that, like, just growing up with a strong role model being my mom and like spending all my time with her and her friends, I just communicate in a way that they resonate with. And so that's part two of the story is, number one, I wanted to help people like my mom so I could change a household. Number two, I communicate well with those people, so they naturally came to me. And then number three, the last part of the story is, like I said, I was pursuing a career in surgery. I eventually graduated. I got my first job, and then eventually my second job. and I joined a team of 6 other people. They were all girls. My role in surgery, I'm not a doctor, by the way. So if anybody Googles me and like, you're not a doctor, I never said I was. I was a surgical technologist. And so my job was to help the doctor in surgery do whatever they couldn't do with their own 2 hands. And so I was spending 40 hours a week plus on-call emergency surgery hours working directly next to these doctors. And they thought it was a great idea to take the only man in that role, because it was me and 6 other girls, and put him in the OB and GYN based rooms. And so I spent the next 3.5 years getting massive amounts of education from these doctors that spent their entire adult life learning about this one thing. And so now it all came together. I wanted to give back to my mom and people like her. I communicated well with them, and now I understand them in a massive way. And so now, 6 years later, I create massive change for these people.
I love that so much. And I'm going to maybe ask you a hard question right now. Being somebody who is 15 years in recovery, whose story is riddled with spiritual bottoms, right? That's my idea of a rock bottom, the soul level desperation that I believe is required for real change. You talked about a bad path and then shifting. You talked about weight gain, but not the way you wanted, and then shifting. We talked about in the beginning of the conversation that no real change in the body can ever take place without, on a soul level, us shifting. What happened for you to shift emotionally? The college kid who's 220 pounds, who's still not confident, who's now, as you say, fat and awkward, who got all this education. That's great. You could have the education. That doesn't mean you're going to shift and apply the education and go down to 190 and go, holy shit, I am now confident. I fucking did the thing. What happened inside of you where you said, no more? I will not live this way anymore.
I mean, God, that's the last sentence that you just said is exactly it. And I knew where you were going with this, like a minute into your question. And so I started thinking about it before, and I was going to say in the beginning, I don't know about everyone else, but for me. But now I still don't know about everyone else. I know for me, I know for people that have been in my family, I know for friends that I know, and just stories that I've heard. Um, I just, or we just have hit a point where enough is enough. Like, I got so sick of being picked on, so sick of it. And I was like, it's not going to stop unless I do something about it. So I did something about it.
Do you
I
remember
got,
the exact moment that happened?
yeah,
Tell
a
me.
kid tried to, I left my English class in high school, and I was just going to my next class or like going to the bathroom, whatever I was doing. And a kid was like in this little huddle of all the cool kids, and he like turned around, he like grabbed me by the collar, and he said, I don't remember what he said, but he said something. He's like, what's the matter? Like, you want to fight about it? And I was like, what are you talking about? He like started pushing me, and he pushed me like down 2 flights of stairs, and I brought him with me. Like, I grabbed his shirt and he fell down those 2 flights of stairs with me. And like by the time we end up falling down 2 flights of stairs, like all the security guards were on us and stuff. And that was it. Like nobody had like ever put hands on me. They just called me a whole bunch of terrible shit that I started to believe because I was called it so much. Um, but I was like, enough. Like, I'm done. And so like if the security guards weren't there, like halfway down that flight of stairs, I was done. I was like, I'm gonna make sure nobody ever does this to me again. And that was it. That was honestly the last day because everybody saw that like Joe was done. And that was it.
Did you share that moment with your mom?
Yeah, my mom knew I was getting picked on. So like the entire time she's like, Joe, like don't retaliate, just ignore it, just ignore it. And then that happened. And she's like, okay, you're done. Like, do what you need to do. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna.
Mm.
And I was just done. Like, I was gonna do whatever I had to do. So like that could come in two ways. Like that could come from retaliation, or that could come from rebuilding Joe. And I was like, yeah, retaliation like might work, but rebuilding Joe is going to work a whole lot better. And
Mm.
so like that happened. I got sick of it. And it was a mindset shift of like, I'm going to do what I need to do every single day until I'm at where, till I'm where I want to be. Um, Really good question. I have never shared that on a podcast, and you were this close to making me cry. Um, so that was it. It was a mindset shift, and it was just because I was so sick of it. And then the same thing was true with when I was 220 pounds. Um, I didn't like how I looked. Like my face looked like a bowling ball. My body felt like shit. My body, in my opinion, looked bad. Um, and like enough people come up to you that knew you in the past, and they're like, hey, are you okay? Like you don't look like you used to look, which means that I don't act like I used to act, which means I'm not who I used to be. Um, and I was like, no, I'm sick of people asking me this. I'm going to do something about it. And so again, mindset shift, like that switch flipped and enough was enough. And then I just rolled with it. And I don't want to tell the stories of people that are not me, but like I know family members and friends and things like that have had addiction. Like there was always this moment where enough was enough, and that's it. So if like anybody wants to take away from this, I think if we can build our mindset strong enough, which I have done, you can decide that moment. You don't need to let that moment decide for you. Like now, if I want to change, I'll just make it up in my head. Like, okay, that's like that was the last straw that just happened. I'm gonna go change. So now I can create these changes way faster and way more efficiently. But I think that that's what it is.
I'm so glad that you shared that. And I am the person that asks the really hard questions. And here's why: because somebody listening is going to go, man, this guy is doing it. Like he's highly capable. He changed his life. But how? How? Because the people listening are the people potentially that are stuck in that horrific place where they hate how they are living, but they do not know how to move forward in a different
Mm-hmm.
way. And when we drop the drawbridge down and we share the messy middle, whatever our breaking point was, your breaking point was so much less dangerous than mine in some ways, right? But you had to reach it. You had to live the way you were living in a pattern that really worked for a while, even when it was making you unhappy, until you exhausted it and you went, no, I cannot do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People need to hear the mess. It shows our humanity. It shows our struggle. It doesn't just show the shiny stuff on the outside and how good it can be. Because when you're in the pit of despair, you can't see that.
Mm-hmm.
But someone can hear and imagine the pain of you getting pushed down 2 flights of stairs. And then lucky you that you had a mom to call who said, no, you are not going to put your tail between your legs and be okay with this. Whatever it is you need to do, I support you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And somebody may not have that figure, but God, we need to find a trusted person to share our shame with who's going to go, there is another way. There
Mm-hmm.
is another way. So that negative voice that does keep us in the cycle of dysfunction doesn't have so much power and doesn't keep saying, just go fucking order the pizza, deal with it tomorrow. It's too
Yeah.
much. Right. So I think like for me, I did not know that. I wanted so badly as soon as I met you to know how is he doing what he's doing? He's young. He's dealing with a population that is not even the same gender, that's going through the stuff I'm starting to go through. I'm 41.
Mhm.
I'm entering the perimenopausal phase. I'm already starting to have changes in my body that are really fucking annoying. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Why is he doing it? There has to be an impetus. I'm so attracted to the why. It makes me understand on a heart level why you are motivated to help people. And also, by the way, why you have credibility
Mm.
when a woman comes to you about their weight loss and all of a sudden you realize it's their mindset that I need to help change because you've done it in your own life. There are a lot of people who haven't, and they can be great at coaching, but it's going to fall short if they haven't had their own reckoning in their own life, in my opinion. And so the fact that you had your own more than once and you can speak to it, it doesn't just humanize you, it makes you legit.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. And you might have just added a new part to my story that I share of like,
I hope
now I
so.
realize that I want to give back to my mom twice because like she also is the one that gave me permission to like do something different that got me a different result. That's good. Thank you. Yeah, it's huge. But I think that at the same time, like now I've learned this. I wish I knew it at whatever, 16 or 17 when that happened. But like I didn't need my mom's permission to change. I didn't need anyone's permission to change. I just needed
Mm-hmm.
my own permission to change. And so you said something before where you were like, for those people that might not have someone or should find someone in their life
Mm-hmm.
to give them that permission or push them for that change, guys, if you can't find that, find it in yourself. Like create that second version of you that's like, no, dude, enough is enough, or no, girl, enough is enough. Like you're done with whatever your situation is, using alcohol or drugs, negative self talk, feeding your body absolute shit every day. Like, no, you're done. You're done. Like tomorrow's a new day. You're going to start tomorrow.
You know what's so interesting about that, right? Is it circles back to, in some ways, uh, the idea of whether or not we have a choice in these matters. And there's a very strong camp in the self help world, in the fitness and wellness space of you can just choose out of the shitty life you're living and choose in to a better one, right? You're one choice away from a new life. We hear this stuff all the time. And to some extent, that's true, but it's not enough. And here's what I mean. I think you know this about my story, but I'm not sure. And if you don't, I'm sorry because it's a really awful thing that I'm going to say. 2 years ago, I lost my sister to a drug overdose. Okay. Until that happened, I did not know I was operating under a few limiting beliefs because they were subconscious. What I mean by that is, in the wake of her death, I said to myself, I will no longer wait for anybody to give me permission to live the way I want to live, to write the book that I know is inside of me, to start the podcast that I've been talking about starting, to sing on stages without being in absolute terror that my voice will crack. I hereby grant myself permission to live 100% authentically and unapologetically. I wasn't ready. I
Hmm.
didn't know that I had a choice until I was faced with that level of devastation that woke me up and made me go, oh my God, I could spend the rest of my life not doing these things that are so important to me because I'm afraid I'm not enough yet, not famous enough yet. My sister is dead. She's dead. She will never have a chance to do any of this again. Her death gave me an urgency about my life such that I went, no more. Now I know I can choose to create my own destiny. I was already deep in therapy, deep in recovery. I had shattered so many limiting beliefs, but I still had a bunch of them. So I say that to you because the choice of making a change is really complicated.
Hmm.
On a brain level, it's really complicated. And part of why maybe you were able in the aftermath of getting pushed down those stairs to make the change was because you had that support. Now you don't need it. You got a
Yeah.
stack of evidence behind you, lived experience that when you decide to change your life, you can. And the outcome is amazing. But you didn't have that stack of evidence yet. You needed your mom's nudge. It helped you go over the cliff. We don't know what it's going to take till we get to a place where we know we can choose and opt into a better life. But it's complicated. So I just want to really speak to that because in my lived experience and in my training of hundreds of clients rewiring the brain body connection, it is not as simple as choosing a different route. When the reward centers for whatever the way you've been living are really strong, even if they're creating bad outcomes,
Hmm.
they're strong and they're familiar and they're comfortable. And the decision making centers in the brain that give us the power of choice get weakened. This is science,
Yeah, there's a lot we could go into on that.
right? So it's complicated. So if you're hearing Joe and you're hearing me, right? Some of you are in a place where you're like, "Yes, I'm getting off this podcast and I'm ready. I'm going to make that change." I have been on my knees again and again and again when life has thrown me new things where I go, "Now I'm going to change this." This whole thing where I'm trying to outrun grief, I tried it. I failed. I birthed nothing new into the world. I'm still soul sick. I'm still grieving. It didn't work. So I'm going to do something else,
Hmm.
right? Whatever it looks like for you. If you're at the precipice and you're ready, that is so amazing. And if you're not, I get it. And it's okay. And what you need to do is hang on long enough until you get there and not give up on yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I think that one thing you said is certainly true, where it's like, I did need a nudge in the beginning, but now I no longer do. And I think that also can contribute to two different mindset camps, which would be having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely had a fixed mindset in the beginning where it's just like, well, this is who I am, this is how my life is, and that is predetermined, and there is no changing that until I got woken up by whatever that nudge was and figured out that that is complete and utter bullshit. And then I was like, okay, now I have a growth mindset. And now
Mm-hmm.
I understand that whatever I put my mind to, as long as effort follows, I'll make that change every single time. And so now, like you said, I don't need that nudge from anybody else anymore, but I absolutely did in the beginning. And I think that that's a massive unlock for everyone. And we work with our clients on
Mm.
that a lot, actually. It's like, you have all the power. We just got to figure out how to unlock it, take it out of your brain because it's there and it's there for everyone. Whether you want to believe that or not, it is there for everyone. Sam, I bet you had that. I know I did. I know many people that did. And when we find that way to unlock it, and it's different for everyone, it's powerful.
So let's dive right into that, without mentioning names, right? Take me through a case study, a woman that signed up to work with you for weight loss, and whether she knew it or not, had a mindset issue that you
Yeah.
knew in your bones was going to get in the way of her weight loss journey. How did you uncover that? How did you reach her emotionally so she could hear you? And what did you offer as a template for her to make the changes that were going to be required for her to hit her quote unquote fitness goals?
Yeah, I love this. It's going to connect with everything that we just said. So number one, you need support. So like my mom was there for me at this time when I was coaching, because at this point I have coaches that coach for me. But I was the coach for this client. She wanted to lose like 130 pounds, and she tried everything. Nothing worked, which means in a fixed mindset, nothing else will work. And so number one, she needed support. She needed somebody that believed in her. Number two, she told me like before she even signed up for coaching, she's like, Joe, I can't do this. I don't like cooking. I have never cooked in my life. I don't like going to the gym, and you will never get me to step foot in the gym. I have diabetes. And so that is something that they say can be cured, but I know for me, it can't. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm down for this challenge. Um, and for anybody, especially, not especially here, for anybody, period, massive change doesn't just get created. Massive change comes from simple, small steps.
Mm-hmm.
So we just started with simple, small steps. And I was like, hey, when you say you don't know how to cook, what is the extent of that? She's like, I can't even make 5-minute rice inside like the pot of water. It's like, okay, yes, you can. You just haven't. So let's change your language to I haven't made 5-minute rice in a pot, but you've raised a child. I bet you can figure out how to make rice. And so we taught her how to make rice. And after that, we taught her how to make chicken. And after that, we taught her how to season it so it actually tastes good and she doesn't eat like a boring bodybuilder. And then we taught her how to cook everything else. In a month later, a month, like 4 weeks' time, she wasn't eating out at all because she's like, I actually kind of like cooking. And man, I've never even heard of these spices, but I'm buying them. And when I smell them, they smell good. So I put it on my food, and oh, these two don't go well together, but these two do. And so now I remember this. And I'm like, hey,
Mm.
can you just assess what you just said to me? Do you realize all the shit that you just learned and is like coming naturally to you now? And she's like, wow, I didn't think about that, but you're right. I'm like, okay, cool. Can I move this into a different situation? She's like, sure. It's like, you said that you don't like working out. You've never been to a gym and you'll never go to a gym. She's like, yeah. I was like, so if you've never been to a gym, can I assume that you've never worked out? And she's like, that's right. I was like, so how do you know you don't like working out? She's like, well, I don't. I don't know if I don't like working out. It just I'm just an overweight person, and overweight people aren't supposed to like working out, so I don't think I like working out. Like, okay, cool. Like, let's not get you into a gym, but here's this little body weight thing that I wrote for you. It's 10 minutes long. Can you try that? She's like, sure. Comes back to me the next day. She's like, hey, I did the workout. It's like, nice. How do you feel? She's like, I feel the same. But I slept amazingly. And afterwards, I felt proud, and it wasn't that bad. I had the TV on when I did it, and my kid was playing on the floor next to me, and like, it wasn't terrible. It's like, okay, cool. Let's do it 2 more times this week. So we did that. And then push come to shove, next thing happened. She's at the gym. She's in group coaching classes because she's not comfortable enough to be in the gym by herself using equipment. It's like, all right, that's cool. If we like that, let's get you a group coach and we can follow that. And I mean, we just did this for everything. We just knocked every domino down until a year and a half later, she's down 130 pounds. She's cooking every day of the week. She still goes to Dunkin' Donuts on Sundays because that's her fun day, and she crushes food that day, and it's super fun to see. Um, and she is going to the gym 5 days a week. And when she misses a workout, she feels like crap. And when she hits her workout, she
Mm.
is super happy. Like, her mental health changed, her physical health obviously changed, um, her life changed. She is dating again, which is super cool. We haven't worked together for quite some time because she doesn't need me anymore. But yeah, I mean, that's a fixed mindset to growth mindset, perfect situation because she grew in every aspect of life. And she told me when she was done, she's like, Joe, I don't need you anymore. Like, I can do all this on my own and more. I was like, yes, you can. Go get it, girl. And so
Mm.
that's a perfect example.
I love that so much because not only does it let the listener just know exactly how you work, but also there's so much that you are doing when you're doing that, right? And so, what do I mean by that? Joe really heard where this woman was at. He downloaded her lifestyle, her mindset, her roadblocks, all the I cannots, I will nots, I never will, I shouldn't, I should, I would, but he was paying close attention to the emotional roadblocks. And then very manageably, he offered bite-sized reframes, mental reframes. What if, what if this? Like, what if I took all the roadblocks out about this rice thing? Could you just give me that? Could you just try that? Let me know. Right? So he met the person, as we said in this conversation, on a soul level where they were at and took out the big scary fear of the impossible goal, put something super tangible right in front of them, made it as easy as possible to fit into their really busy life, and let them have a win. So they went, wait a second, I can do this. Huh. Maybe this guy's onto something. And so, talk about limiting beliefs. You take just one limiting belief, you shatter it, you kick the door open for possibility in somebody's life, and they start scratching their head. I wonder what else is possible. Right. And so, really, the work of weight loss, when you've dealt with from fixed to growth, is easy. It's the mental retraining that's the hard part. And it's really a gift uh, to be able to meet people in those places. And you clearly have a gift. That was the perfect example to share with the listener. I'm wondering, a tougher scenario. Are there clients? So for me, when I was, running my clinic in the beginning, I wanted to take everybody. I was trying to
Hmm.
grow a business, right? It was yes to everything. It was responding to text messages after hours, right? I mean, eventually, lots of boundaries had to get put in place.
Hmm.
And the other part of that was I was able to have a little more confidence that my business was going to be all right. I knew what I was doing. I knew how to reach people, connect with people, change their lives, change their minds, change their bodies. So I didn't have to say yes to everything. And towards the end of having my proper brick and mortar space, which I don't now, right? I do a lot of virtual training. I started to say no. I sometimes, not most of the time, was confronted with a personality who was so stuck in the dysfunction. And I know what that is. I've lived it. I know it on a brain level and I know it on a personal level. I know that it's not a place I can penetrate. And the other part of my story is that I'm an excellent fixer and saver. I love to rescue people. So part of my work is to make sure that I'm not picking people who I'm trying to save.
Hmm.
I need to find the people who are at the edge, but are willing and ready to change. and then I'll come swooping in. So I've had to say no to people who I feel are too sick in the dysfunction, too attached to it, because the role I would play is enabler, and I won't do it anymore, right?
Mhm.
So I've had to lovingly say, I'm sorry, I'm not the right practitioner for you. Have you had those experiences?
I don't know if I have, because so in where I work, I think that there's two things that people really need, and not everyone has the ability to lose weight with where they're at right now. There's people's body needs to have the ability to lose weight. And so what I mean is if somebody's metabolism is wrecked or their hormones are wrecked, it's literally impossible to lose weight.
Mm,
You have to fix that first. The other thing is if
mm,
somebody's mentality or mindset isn't right, they still might be able to lose weight, but they're eventually going to fall off, which means no, they actually can't lose weight. And so we always like to assess our new clients when they come in on both those things and make sure that before we take them into a weight loss phase, both these things are ready. Um, but to be honest with you, I can't say I haven't had someone that was too far gone. Not in where I work. It might be different in where you work for sure.
mm. What do you think you would do if you saw that? If you saw that somebody was coming in and it wasn't just, hey, I really recommend that you get your hormone levels a little more balanced. I have this great person I can refer you to. If it was emotional or
Mm.
mental, and you saw that
Okay.
that part of who they were was in such a place that it was beyond the scope of your expertise at that moment in time, but you knew if they could get through that and be a little
Okay.
further along, they'd be a perfect client. What would you do?
Oh, I'd refer them out for sure. I see where you're going with this. Yeah, there are people that I can't help. Like there are things with hormones that I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't have the answer to every single question on earth. There are people with like traumas and addictions or anything in the world that you can think of that I don't have the answer or the solution to, and neither do my coaches. We
Mm,
have a really well rounded team. We have a registered dietitian, a behavior change specialist, a mindset specialist, and a movement specialist. So we can address a lot of things.
mm,
But even if we can't do it, like I have people in my little Rolodex that I can refer to. Right. And
mm,
so, like, I am not an addiction specialist. You're probably pretty damn good at it. So like now, if somebody has that, hey, I'd love to help you, and I think we can, but I think there's something bigger in your way first. I want to introduce you to my friend Sam because I don't want to
mm,
take you on if I don't think I can solve your problem. I'd rather solve your problem and then like externally, and then you come back and I'll help you. So why don't I put you guys in an email or get you guys on a call? And I
mm.
mean, I probably do that multiple times a week.
I love that. Uh, I would love for the listeners to know where they can find you, how they can support what you're doing, work with you, work with your team, be a part of your community. Please share that.
Yeah, for sure. So you can search my name probably anywhere. It's just Joe Hoye, Hoye, and I'll come up. Facebook is probably the best place to find me.
Mm,
I have my free community. So it's fat loss for women over 40, macros, metabolism, and menopause. That is a really tight knit free community that I'm posting solutions in
mm,
every single day of the week. Um, there's nothing to buy in there. It's just free help, free support, free community, and 5 coaches that have got your back. You can
mm,
find me on Instagram, Facebook, you name it, all the normal places.
mm. And then where are you actually located for in-person coaching?
Absolutely nowhere. I don't do any of that. So we're only online. I live in Vermont, Southern Vermont, kind of all over the place now because life gets busy and crazy. But
Mm.
we don't do any in-person training. So every single thing is online and
Oh,
I
that's
like it
so
that way.
amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, everything's online.
Oh, how cool that you can reach that many people that way. That's so amazing. And
Exactly.
so, actually, perfect segue because this other really cool thing since Joe and I met at the Build Your Brand event is that I'm going to be a part of this amazing thing he's doing in July, and I'll let you kind of close out the conversation by sharing what that's all about and where people can tune in.
Yeah, let's do it. So I am hosting a free online 5-day event called the Midlife Makeover. And so it fits
Mm,
exactly in with my mission of impacting as many lives as possible for women 40 plus. Um, like I said, it's 5 days long. Day one is all nutrition based. Day two is exercise. Then day three is mindset, then health, then menopause. Every single day, we have 4 to 6 different speakers, world class experts like Sam. We have TV hosts, cancer survivors, mindset
mm,
experts, NFL players, motivational speakers, like really, really big names. And like I said, it's free. So if you are a woman 40 plus, or you're a woman and you expect to live past 40, you should probably come and hang out with us because it's free. And we're going to change your life in any way you can think of. And on
mm,
the 6th day, which is a bonus day, we're covering everything that I didn't mention. So meditation, manifestation, yoga, Pilates, relationships, marriage, communication, fashion, empty nesting, children. Like we're covering everything because I
mm,
truly want this to be a midlife makeover for any woman. So
mm.
come hang out with us. Sam, what is it that you're doing on our exercise day?
Ah, I'm going to give everybody a 30-minute. Is that what we decided? Workout that you can do anywhere, no equipment needed. And it's going to train, obviously, your mind, but your body in a way that prevents injury so we can keep on moving. You're going to learn so much about body mechanics and how to preserve this temple that we only get one of. Because I don't know about you, but I want to be the grandma at the wedding that's totally embarrassing my
Tearing it up.
kids, tearing it up because she's been taking care of herself.
Hmm. For
So,
sure.
where can they? I'm going to put the link in the bio to all this lovely information. But if you just wanted to let them know about the virtual summit, what's the website for that? Do they need
Yeah,
to register?
they definitely need to register.
Okay.
Like we said a million times, it's free. Really simple for the website. It's just summit.hoyefit. So HOYEFIT.com. And that'll bring you straight to the registration page. You're going to have a ton of information that I just told you about. But if you want to read it instead of hear it, feel free. At the bottom of that page, I need your name, email, and phone number. I think that's it. Um, and you're just going to get a text from me. You're going to get an email with your ticket and we will see you between July 15 and July 20.
Amazing. It's been so fun to talk to you.
It was great. Thanks for all of this. That was amazing. Some thought-provoking questions for sure.
That is my mission in life. I'm so
I love
glad.
it.
I'll speak to you probably as soon as we get off this call.
All righty. Bye guys.
Bye, Joe. Bye, everybody.